there a chance of yes, yes to the IDF? What do you say to that?
Grotesque. They might as well say yes, yes to the SS.
Personally, I don't think there's any difference between the IDF and Jews as a whole, and specifically Israelis. Every Israeli has to go and do national service. So the IDF is everybody.
We're protesting against the Zayas because they're trying to stop Bob Vylan coming to the concert.
Bob Vylan, the band is playing in the O2 Forum in Kentish Town, and we're here to say that he's welcome in Camden because the Zionists over there who support Israel say he's a threat to humanity. And what has he done? Just performing, had his freedom of speech at Glastonbury. It's become such a farce, and they dropped the charges, and now they still want him charged for what? Speaking out about the truth that Israel is committing a genocide.
The O2 Kentish Town Forum needs to be ashamed of themselves for putting his show on. The Manchester Academy cancelled his show. Kentish Town should have done the same thing. Why people are supporting him, I have no idea. I guess there's always going to be anti-Semites throughout history, but we've been here for thousands of years and we're not going anywhere.
If he would have chanted death to any other minority or any other ethnicity, he would have been cancelled. But when it comes to Jews and Israel, it's allowed. And so we have an increase in anti-Semitism, which resulted already in 2 Jews being killed in this country.
His chants against the IDF are insane because every Israeli has to join the IDF against the countries that have threatened in their charters to murder all Israelis and Jews since Israel was founded and before Israel was founded as a state. So to, as a blanket statement, say death to the IDF, you're saying death to all Israelis. So no, I don't think there's any conflation. I think I don't think there's any conflation at all.
And so why do you think that people will continue to go to gigs of Bob Vylan's or of other groups that have been vocal against the IDF's campaign?
I think being pro-Palestinian is very trendy. I think people have no idea. Some people have no idea what they're talking about and they get their information from TikTok. Some of us have been to Israel, know that there's no such thing as an apartheid there. We know that there's all different races, religions, all free living together. I've been there twice this year. I've seen it with my own eyes. People will continue to get their misinformation from the internet, and unfortunately that's just the way that we're going with the world. We can't make people see sense and we can't make people see logic. I think it's quite clear that if you support a person who chants death to a democratic country, you're probably not on the right side, but we can't really reason with that sort of mentality.
My father's family survived and sometimes didn't survive the Holocaust in Hungary, and I suppose my position is much the same as that long gone Labour MP who said, I didn't want to stop my grandmother being murdered so that I could see someone else's grandmother being murdered in Palestine.
I think the BBC did a terrible service to the Jewish community and the wider community by giving Bob Vylan oxygen, allowing him to be seen spewing his hate and anti-Semitism on the stage at Glastonbury. Had that not happened, we would never have heard of Bob Vylan. This wouldn't be happening, and all of these people wouldn't be expressing their hate for Jews in North London.
Well, I want to stand up against what the Israeli government are doing to the people of Palestine, the West Bank, what the settlers are doing, and what's happening in Gaza. The genocide happened there, and the problem in Britain is that the Starmer government is in total denial. Starmer can't even mention the word genocide, really. You know, he talked today openly about racism on the rise in Britain, but he's one of the people who's pushing it. Like, he talks about the flag waving and how that's a deterrent. But where's he? He worked in Northern Ireland for a time. He must know that the Union Jack is a very divisive thing, as it is in Scotland as well, against Catholic versus Protestant. And it's divided our people. And they do the same in Britain, that they're now dividing it against Muslims, against black people. You have health workers who are afraid to go into certain areas. They get more abuse. But Starmer is as much behind that as Farage is, really. We expect that from Farage. Farage does that all the time, but not from Starmer and the Labour Party.
Personally, I don't think there's any difference between the IDF and Jews as a whole, and specifically Israelis. Every Israeli has to go and do national service. So the IDF is everybody. So it's death to the Israelis. You might as well be calling River to the Sea, which is also a genocidal chant. any of those sorts of expressions are basically death to the Jews, wipe them out. That's a call for genocide, a real genocide, not the fake genocide that the news has been telling us about, or the fake famine. What happened to that famine? It disappeared from the news because it never happened. It's an absolute disgrace.
There's no call for a two-state solution. There's no call for peace. All it is hatred, and it's just anti-Israel, anti-Jew. That's all it is. And, you know, there's stickers everywhere, boycott Israel. It's just everywhere.
It's the cultural creep. It's trying to clamp down anything when in fact we know the majority of people in England are against this genocide and know what's going on. It's just a thin layer of people on the top who are trying to intimidate us.
Opposite us, there are chants of yes, yes to the IDF. What do you say to that?
Grotesque. They might as well say yes, yes to the SS, mightn't they? I mean, it's absurd.
And will you be going to see the show tonight?
Am I going to see the show? No, I need to go home. I'm old, I'm too old for this. I'm just here for an hour or so. I just feel it's important to be a witness.
There's been investigations done by Amnesty International that have confirmed that there's an apartheid in Israel. There's also been the United Nations that have said that there's a genocide going on in Gaza. Are you saying that these organizations are wrong?
Yes, the United Nations is obviously the United Nations is an interesting organization, I would say. The genocide claim, as we know, has been debunked. The genocide scholars, you could pay $30 and say that Israel were committing a genocide. Some of the scholars on the website went by the name of Adolf Hitler. Anyone could say they were a scholar and say Israel was committing genocide. That was proven, but still the BBC ran it as a news story saying Israel was committing genocide. UNICEF, I think it was UNICEF, have now rescinded their famine claim in Israel, quietly, by the way. The Red Cross have done absolutely nothing to help the humanitarian crisis of Hamas stealing aid. I think people like the United Nations and the Red Cross and Amnesty International have absolutely zero merit in the eyes of international law, humanitarian law, so we can take their words with absolutely zero credibility these days.
The other side are saying basically that Bob Vylan shouldn't be allowed to perform tonight. What do you think it says about free speech in the UK?
Yeah, basically, singers have always been at the cutting edge of both humour and satire. Like you take Kneecap, for example, they were pillarised as well, you know. But Kneecap, if you've seen their film, they're tongue-in-cheek. They take the piss out of Republicans, loyalists, or you see everybody, even themselves, you know what I mean? So they need to get a sense of humour and wake up that singers will expose things that happen in society and point things out to us that sometimes we don't notice. And that's the beauty of music. Poetry does that as well. So I think there needs to be freedom of expression. They think freedom only exists on their side, but not on our side. Freedom exists for everyone, and the right to free speech. We get this with, if you say, I support Palestine action, you're committing a crime. Absolute nonsense. That's about thinking. If you commit an act, yeah, the criminal law exists and you can get fined, but not for thinking something.
He should be allowed to say what he wants. That's his opinion. And if he thinks the IDF are baby killers, they are baby killers. So what he said was entirely correct.
There was a recent documentary that came out about the IDF, and someone whistle blew about them raping people, Palestinians specifically, and now she has been arrested, and that person who did the raping on the leaked footage has now been praised across Israel and is all over the news going, bravo, bravo, well done. We should not be supporting people who are raping people because that should be a crime everywhere across the world.
I think it's highly likely that the BBC and the Evis family, who organise and run and benefit greatly from Glastonbury Festival, I think they probably knew all about it, and maybe they should have made it clearer to the senior management. Maybe they did make it clear to senior management, and maybe senior management chose to let it go anyway, because maybe the senior management, as has been proven this weekend, are frankly complicit in anti-Semitism. They've been telling stories and they've been expressing bias by, what do they call it? Bias by leaving stuff out. I can't think of the right word. by omission. That's the word. Bias by omission. They've been telling half the story, and they've been found out. And the fact that 2 senior people have left, that's not even the start of it. That's not nearly enough.
I think it's endemic.
Absolutely, it's endemic. Absolutely. Frankly, they should close the whole bloody lot down, and we shouldn't be compelled to pay for an outrageous organisation that it's become, because it wasn't always like that. I think we grew up with what seemed to be a much more wholesome BBC, but it's lost its way.